topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Draw me close to you, never let me go, and lay it all down again, to hear you say that I'm a friend.
Good day. The Almighty Creator desires a deep personal relationship with you. My name is James Robertson. I'm a researcher, publisher, and teacher regarding the matters and truths of the Almighty Creator, whose true name is Yah, the eternally self-existing. I've been actively serving him since 1993, over 32 years. If you're not actively serving Yah, then by default you're serving Satan. My objective is to show you how you can make a big difference on earth and qualify for a position of high esteem in heaven for eternity. It's important to understand that as a believer, just being good is not the point. It's relationship with Yah that counts. Without this, you'll be in a very unpleasant place in heaven with no way out. My aim is to show you how to get close to Father. If you're a good person without a clear relationship with Yah, then you're in a spiritual no man's land and you will not enter heaven when you die. The Creator has said regarding unbelievers, why would I want someone to spend eternity with me when they do not believe I exist? God is calling everybody on the planet to be involved and serve him, help him to have victory over Satan. Fundamentally, we each need to learn to see things on earth from Yah's perspective. Please visit my website, www.endtimeissueministries.org, or email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org if you have questions or want support. Today we're going to talk about have compassion for Yah, for the huge losses and disappointments he has suffered. An overview. It seems to me that very few people have appreciation for just how bitterly disappointed Yah is with the children of Adam, as human beings. We have let Yah down every step of the way. Yah created this amazing universe and beautiful planet with amazing plants and animals to enjoy with the children of Adam, humankind. He envisaged deep personal relationships, friendships, doing things together. And what did he get? A bunch of corrupt, degenerate, self-willed, rebellious beings who hardly know he exists, let alone seek some sort of deep relationship with him. Folks, it's really, really important to step right back, stop looking at your dramas and stuff, and think about Father. He went to a huge amount of trouble to create us, and almost nobody believes he exists, let alone tries to be his friend, tries to understand things his way. So, in addition to what I've just said, those that do have some level, so this is based on the article 2024-1205, have compassion for Yah for the huge losses and disappointments he's suffered. So those that do have some level of awareness of his existence make him out to be a legalistic ogre who demands obedience on a long list of minutiae that it is not possible to memorize, let alone fully comply with. I recently did a teaching about the what is really Torah, because there are a whole lot of people who say that they are Torah observant believers, and most of them are down to legalistically saying that the first 5 books of the Protestant Bible, so-called books of Moses, are all law, when clearly a lot of it is not law. And then there are bits which tell you about how you should trim your beard and what you may and may not eat, and washing hands. And then others, in addition to that, say that there are 613 laws in Hebrew mitzvot, which have to be observed. And these people make it out that success in life in terms of your relationship with Yah is dependent on how strictly you keep all these minutiae. It's not so, folks. Yah wants a friendship with you. He wants to enjoy you. He wants to do things with you. He wants you to consult him about what you're doing. He wants to be part of your life. And almost nobody understands that, let alone he tries to make that happen. So my question for you today is whether you can have compassion for Yah in this situation, whether you will commit the rest of your life to turning the situation around. Much of this is dealt with on the ETI, End Time Issue Ministries.org website. Folks, if you have never thought about Yah in the context that the title of this broadcast offers, compassion for Yah with his disappointments, his dreams that have been dashed by what Satan has done, what human beings have done in submission and acceptance of Satan's machinations. If you don't have compassion for Yah, but what he's going through every day, this mixed up, messed up world that we live in, you're missing the point. He created this for us to have relationship with him. He was lonely. He went to extraordinary lengths to create the universe, the solar system, planet Earth, the plants, the animals, and finally us, to have intelligent beings to talk to engage with, to do things together. If you're a gardener, he wants to help you in your garden. He wants to give you ideas. If you're a computer scientist, he wants to help you write your software. And I'm kind of fairly confident in saying that you're not doing that. So in order to make my point, let us look at the progression of Yah's disappointments at a headline level, starting with Adam. I'm only going to pick out the big ticket items. There are many in between. So point number 1, Adam and the fruit, and hands control to Satan. Right at the beginning, folks. Yah puts Adam and Lilith on the earth. He says, don't eat from the tree. And then Lilith goes off after Satan and Adam divorces her. Yah has to create another wife for Adam, so he creates Chava, Eve, from Adam's rib, just to make sure that genetically they matched up. And then Chava is tricked by the supposedly serpent, and there are different opinions as to the exact translation of the word that is translated serpent in Genesis. But ultimately, Satan tricks Chava into leading Adam astray and persuading him to eat the forbidden fruit. So Adam rebels and eat the fruit that Yah said, you can eat the fruit of every tree in the garden, only do not eat the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Boom. It's broken. Everything that Yah had planned, broken. Now, Adam has made Satan the mighty one of the world, the God of the world. He has bowed the knee to Satan. And Satan has dominion on the earth. And we have this huge mess that we live with today: war, disease, poverty, all the consequences of mankind following Satan. Situation number 2, and I'm only picking out the headlines, folks. If you know the Bible well, you will know that I'm skipping over things. It was Cain and Abel and what have you. So point number 2, Noah with regard to Japheth and Ham and getting drunk. So the world degenerated into subservience to Satan. And Noah was serving Yah, and he said, I'm grieved by what I see on the earth. And Yah said, I'm grieved too. And Noah said, what can I do? And Yah said, ask me to bring a flood to drown these evildoers. So Yah did that. And he explained to Noah, how to build a boat, commonly called the ark. The ark is a sort of generic term. You get the Ark of the Covenant, you get other arks. It's a container, it's a vessel. And Noah had 3 sons: Shem, Ham, Japheth. And Japheth was an idolater, and Ham was an ancestor worshipper, a demon worshipper. And Yah wanted to leave them behind. And Noah said, when they see what you do to the other idolaters and ancestor worshippers, they will forsake their ways and come to belief. So reluctantly, Yah agreed to allow Noah to bring Japheth and his wife and Ham and his wife onto the boat. And Ham brought with him the 7 ruling demonic masterminds. Then they got to the other side safely. Noah plants a vineyard, makes some wine, and gets drunk and is lying naked in his tent. And Ham sees his nakedness. And Shem and Japheth walk backwards with a cloak and cover their father's nakedness so they don't see it. And Noah wakes up and he's angry with Ham, so he curses Canaan. And so we have today the people of Africa who have the curse of Canaan that is holding them in bondage and poverty. So from this whole vision of a new beginning, boom, another disappointment. Please try and see it from Yah's point of view. Then Abraham and Hagar. Yah had promised Abram a seed, a child, through Sarai, his wife. But he was in his 90s, she was in her 80s. She says, well, I don't think I'm ever going to have a child. Here's my maid Hagar. Have a child with her. So Abram says, yes, okay. And she conceives and has a child. Completely contrary to Yah's plan. And that child goes off. They're chased away. He's blessed by Abram. And that becomes the Arabic people. Again, Yah had a clear plan for Sarai to have a child, and then Isaac comes along. And now there's contention between the 2 brothers. Then Yaakov, Jacob, ultimately Israel, and his unloved wives. So he runs away and camps out with his father's brother-in-law, and falls in love with the younger sister. He's told by his father-in-law, you have to marry the eldest first, so he marries her, but he doesn't love her, but she has children. And then the younger one doesn't have children, so she gives him her servant girl, and he has children with her. And then the older one says, well, he doesn't love me anymore, so she gives him the servant, and she has children, and ultimately the loved wife has children. Folks, another mess. What should have been a clear-cut way forward is complicated. So we get the 12 tribes of Israel. And that all happens, and they end up in Egypt, and they become slaves. And eventually Moses goes out into the wilderness after he's killed an Egyptian, and he meets Yah in the burning bush. And Yah says, go back to Egypt and bring my people out of Egypt. Yah is being faithful to his promise to Yaakov, Israel, to raise up a mighty nation out of his descendants. Moses walks in power and authority. He performs a series of miracles, or he is used by Yah, for Yah to perform a series of miracles, which eventually culminates with the slaying of the firstborn of Egypt and the preservation of the firstborn of the Israelites. And they flee into the wilderness, together with, some people reckon, over 1 million non-Israelite people who decided that the Israelites had what it took and that they didn't want to stay around in Egypt. And then they go through the whole thing. Yah parts the sea. They get to Mount Sinai, and they start worshipping idols. And Moshe comes down off, and this is after Yah has spoken to them. Moshe comes down off the mountain, and he's so angry he breaks the tablets with the 10 commandments that Yah had given him. Eventually he goes back up the mountain. Yah gives him another set of 2 tablets. And so they progress, and eventually Yah tells him to do something, and he strikes the rock instead of speaking to the rock for water. And Yah says, but you disobeyed me. You didn't make me great in front of the people. So for that reason, you're not going to go into the promised land. And then they have a whole lot of things happened, and they rebel. And eventually Moshe dies. And they wander in the wilderness for 40 years because of their disobedience. And then eventually they go into the promised land. And they do a whole lot of things that they shouldn't have done, and they don't do a whole lot of things that they should have done. And then over the next few hundred years, there are a number of judges, and then they say they don't want judges anymore, they want kings, so he gives them a king, Shaul, and Shaul rebels. So one after another, course correct, go of course correct, go of course, idol worship, fornication, you name it, they did it. The whole piece about the priesthood, the tabernacle, etc. So much for the plan of the 12 tribes faithfully serving Yah. Another bitter disappointment, by the end of which there was again virtually no one in relationship. And the whole plan with the tabernacle, the Ark of the Covenant, and the priesthood, again in ruins. And then Yahushua comes. He shows people the way, When Yeshua says, I am the way, he means my life is the example, the demonstration, the way of being. Love Yah, talk to Yah constantly, be filled with the Spirit of Yah, perform signs and wonders, heal the sick, raise the dead, walk on water, feed 5,000, etc. And then he dies a terrible death in order to usher in a new covenant. All of this carefully planned over hundreds of years. And yet within a generation, the so-called believers are falling away from the miracle of Yeshua's death. And within 600 years, the whole plan is pretty much totally derelict. The people are worshipping Jesus. They're calling him Jesus, Aesus in Greek, instead of Yahushua, which is the correct name in Hebrew. They've cut off their connections with their Hebrew roots. They're worshipping the Bible, not to mention any number of other sins and errors. And there's, again, no recognition of having a deep personal relationship with Yah. A massive disappointment after all the careful planning and the huge sacrifice that was made by Yahushua. So 600 years after Yahushua, along comes Muhammad. Not nearly as anointed as some of the people I've spoken about. But he gets the reality that you should not worship the Bible, but you should not worship Jesus. And he gets a few other things right. So you get a turning back to Yah in the name of Allah. And some truth. But within a few hundred years, they've fallen away. They're worshipping Muhammad. They're worshipping the Quran. They're engaging in harsh and brutal jihad against other believers. Another disappointment. When you say to me, they're not worshipping Muhammad, my friend, if you take somebody who speaks ill of Muhammad and beat them up and kill them, that's an act of worship toward Muhammad. Likewise, if somebody speaks ill of the Quran or defaces the Quran and you beat them up and kill them, it's worship of the Quran. Muhammad is just a man. The Quran is just a book. An important man and an important book. But not such that you should kill others for not seeing things the way you see them. So, another 600 years or so, along comes Martin Luther. And he's very much in his head in the way that Muhammad was pretty much in his head. And he figures some things out. And he kind of calls people back. Another spark of revival, some limited turning to truth in relationship. But again, sabotaged by worshipping Jesus, worshipping the Bible, championing monogamy, observing Christmas and Sunday and the Sunday Sabbath, and being soft on sin, and hating Jews, and further disappointment. So hating Jews. Hitler was a Christian. So try and see this from Yah's perspective. Just one after the other. Fall away, fall away, fall away. Following after Satan. Listening to Satan. Ignoring Yah. Nobody's talking about having a relationship with Yah. Nobody's seeking to have a relationship with Yah. They're worshipping the Bible. They're worshipping the Quran. They're memorizing the Quran. They're memorizing the Bible. They're praying to Jesus. They're celebrating Jesus' birthday on the birthday of the sun god. Still a mess. And then point number 10. Charismatic Christian leaders of the 20th century, disobedient. In the 1990s and into the early 2000s, I was sent by Father to a number of fairly eminent charismatic Christian leaders to call them to serve Yah and do the necessary getting free of sin to send Satan to the pit for 1,000 years. And others were called before that. And I'm not going to mention names because it's not appropriate. But if you think of a significant number of high-profile charismatic Christians in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, a significant number of those men and women were called to be the point of the arrow to start tearing down satanic strongholds, to get free of sin, stop worshiping Jesus, stop worshiping the Bible, stop observing Christmas, observe the Saturday Sabbath, don't observe Sunday as a Sabbath. Simple things. But no, they didn't want to rock the boat. They had a whole lot of people following them who were giving them lots of money. Big buildings, nice cars, corporate jets, nice lifestyle. More important than serving Yah. Finally, Yah came to me because he'd promised Moshe that one of Moshe's descendants through Gershom would send Satan to the pit. And he'd just about exhausted all of those people. And he came to me and said, James, I've got a job for you to do, but before you say yes, I don't want you to get proud because I want you to understand that I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel. And if you don't take on this job, there's almost nobody else I can turn to. So I understood what the job was. I said, yes, Father, I'll do the job. And for the last 22, 23 years, that was in 2001, so 24 years, I've been doing my best, not necessarily very well, to do that job. So in May 2003, Yah closed off all grace for worshiping Jesus, worshiping the Bible, using the names God and the Lord and Jesus in order to send Satan to the pit. And since then, I've picked up the message that Yah, the eternally self-existing, wants a deep personal relationship with you. What will you do? Will you lay down your life to seek a deep personal relationship with Yah? Or will you continue pottering along in your mediocre relationship with Yah, if you have any relationship at all, and not doing anything to turn the current situation around? It's up to you. In December 2024, when I wrote this article, I wrote, so my question to you is whether you will have compassion on Yah and emphasize and empathize with this huge litany of disappointment and do something serious about it. That is my challenge to you as the worldly year of 2024 comes to an end with a cacophony of triumphal worship of Satan and his dominions, which is Christmas. If you decide to do something, I would love to hear from you. Email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org. It's endtimeissueministries, one word, .org. Folks, think about it. Yah went to a huge amount of trouble, lovingly crafting Adam and Lilith, crafting the world for them to live in, an idyllic place, for them to be his friends, for him to be involved in their lives, to do things with them. And almost nobody knows that, and virtually nobody is doing that. And I know it, and I've known it for some years, and I'm not very good at it either. Had all sorts of setbacks before and after that realization. My challenge to you is, will you come alongside me and help us together to take this further? My desire is to see millions of people as friends of Yah. I'm wondering if you can get that vision. So that's the end of that piece. I'm going to share a few bits out of an article, 2024-12-10, written a few days after the previous one. Yah has given up planning as a consequence of the ineptitude of his followers. So the opening to that article says, a few days ago I wrote about 2024-12-05, have compassion for Yah for the huge losses and disappointments he suffered. As I've contemplated this, I've realized that throughout history, Yah has had to constantly revise his tactics in response to the ineptitude of his followers, sometimes as a consequence of the machinations of the satanic and demonic realm, but mostly the ineptitude of believers. Why do I say ineptitude? A search on Google for the meaning of ineptitude gives ineptitude in the sense of incompetence, clumsiness, inexpertness. Ineptitude is a lack of skill, ability, or competence. And we're talking about this in the context of relationship with Yah. I should also add selfishness, foolishness, headstrongness, lust, crass stupidity, etc. to that. And we've just gone through a whole catalogue of things where human beings have messed up. And frankly, there are many other examples, maybe not as dramatic, of other human beings that have messed up. Think of Solomon, for example, blessed with massive wisdom, massive wealth, and totally fell away. Yah prospered him. Supposedly the wisest man of all time. So why do I say ineptitude? The world we live in is a total mess when viewed from Father's perspective, and the reason it is such a mess is 100% due to the actions of believers, sometimes assisted by the demonic and satanic realm. Remember that Yah gave all authority on earth to Adam and the sons of Adam, Genesis 1:28. Yah blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it, rule over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground. In other words, rule over everything on earth, including the satanic messengers or angels, the demons, and Satan himself. Genesis 2:17. But you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat from it, you will certainly die. But then in Genesis 3:4-7, then the serpent, Satan, said to the woman, you will not surely die. For Yah knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like Yah, knowing good and evil. So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. She also gave to her husband with her, and he ate. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves coverings. So right at the start of the time of humans on earth, Adam disobeys Yah, rebels, and eats the forbidden fruit. Note that Satan planted the thought, but Chava, Eve, and Adam actually disobeyed of their own free will. That one bite, that one act of rebellion, that one little sin, one bite of a piece of fruit, is responsible for the entirety of the mess this world is in. So please don't talk to me about, little sins don't matter. It's the first instance of a headstrong human being doing his own thing and disobeying Yah and obeying Satan. By doing this, Adam submitted to Satan and gave all authority on earth to Satan, with the caveat that Satan still had to operate through sons and daughters of Adam. Human beings have been behaving in this headstrong, inconsiderate to Father Yah modus operandi ever since, myself included. The article that I've just presented to you, The Compassion for Yah, lists some of the major milestones where believers have taken wrong decisions, sinned, behaved in headstrong ways, etc., with major impacts on their lives and the lives of those around them and who follow them. Taking myself as an example, in my own personal life, I've repeatedly taken wrong turnings and made wrong decisions, even while trying my best to serve Yah faithfully. In 2010, Father went to a lot of trouble to team me up with a wonderful anointed woman to be my wife. I was overawed her power and authority and walked away because I did not think I could be her life partner. Something that cost me hugely, which I continue to regret and repent of. There's more about this in the article that's on the website. The key thing here, folks, is that the entire history of humanity, from Adam onwards, is one of inconsiderate attitude to Yah, ignoring Yah, not caring about what he feels, not caring about what he thinks, making no effort to have relationship with him. And I see every day, I'm in a Facebook group, and things are posted there almost every day that I sit and I think, oh my goodness. And sometimes I respond and correct people, but I don't think they listen to me. There are a few people who are walking with me quite closely, and I'm very grateful for them, and Yah is very grateful for them, and they know who I'm talking about. So Yah bless you and prosper you and give you his peace. But for the rest, there is so little appreciation for Yah, so little appreciation for his desire to be your friend. I implore you, let go of all the wrong teachings and wrong ideas and seek a deep personal relationship with Yah. It's got to a point where Father said to me in December last year, I am no longer making plans. Every time he plans something, believers mess it up, myself included. He's sitting back now and watching to see how things work out. He has set the goal of winning the contest in 3003. He's now leaving it to us to hack it and figure it out for ourselves. He will advise if we ask, but that is it. We have to ask. See the article 2024-1206 goal setting. Yah's target demographics for 3003, 978 years from now. For discussion of the objectives Father has set. See the article 2024-0809. Set the contest in the current spiritual dispensation for a discussion of the contest. In this context, Yah has warned that if things continue the way they're going at the moment, by the end of the 21st century, there will not be a single believer in right standing. In fact, there may not be a single believer. At this stage, Yah fully expects to lose the contest. He does not expect us to come even vaguely close to meeting the goals set out above. He is so accustomed to his followers messing up. He has now reached a point where he just takes things as they come. And folks, my ambition, my passion is to turn that around. I want to give Father what he asked for. I want to give him friends. I want to give him people who are so close to him that involve him in every part of their lives. People who walk in power and authority and are changing the earth. And I'm asking you to come alongside me and help me to do that. You've got my email address. Email me, please. To wrap up, I want to ask you, what is the state of your relationship with the Almighty Creator? I'd like to ask you to critically examine where you are relative to the Almighty Creator. Do you talk to him constantly throughout the day and allow him to lead you in every possible way? Do you worship him at every opportunity? Have you clearly and unambiguously heard him call you friend? If not, you're failing in your life purpose and you will be bitterly disappointed when you die. If you've now come to belief, please pray along the following lines. Father Yah, I come to you in the name of Yahushua. I now believe that you exist. I confess my sin of unbelief and repent of my unbelief, and I ask you to forgive my sin. I now commit my life to you, and I ask you to take me by the hand and lead me into deep relationship with you. I ask you to fill me with your spirit and to change me and help me to become the person you want me to become. I ask you to help me find people who can help me and help me find books, websites, articles, and other resources that will help me. I ask you to show me what I can do to actively serve you and lead others to deep personal relationship with you. I thank you for saving me. There's a period of 8 days from sincerely coming to belief for the first time, during which there is extreme grace to help you. See the article Critical Actions on First Belief for actions you should take immediately. Drop me an email at james@endtimeissueministries.org so I can help you, pray with you, counsel you, etc. In closing, thank you for listening. Please send me your questions to james@endtimeissueministries.org. Please email me to join the mailing list at james@endtimeissueministries.org. If you decide to draw close to the Almighty, please let me know and I will connect with you by Zoom, Teams, email, LinkedIn, Facebook, WhatsApp, or telephone so that I can help you with your journey. I hope to connect with you again next week when I will continue to explore how to become a friend of the Creator. Work with me to make a way for Yahushua to return in victory at the end of the millennium and make his enemies his footstool. Folks, a point that I want to make in closing. It does not matter who you are. Father has written off, chosen this and chosen that and chosen the following. It's now each person for yourself. It doesn't matter whether you're African, Asian, European, American, Indian, whatever. It doesn't matter if you're black or white or whatever. It doesn't matter if you've got blonde hair and blue eyes or black hair and brown eyes or anywhere in between. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, thin or fat, tall or short, educated or uneducated. Doesn't matter if you're a Satanist, a witch, or a warlock. Yah is looking for people who will put their hands up and say, Father Yah, here I am, send me. He is looking for people who will lay down their lives and seek a deep personal relationship with him. He's looking for people who will worship at least 1 or 2 hours a day, people who will spend an hour or 2 hours a day on their knees with him, people who spend an hour or 2 hours a day reading about his ways and getting to know him better. People who will do what he tells them to do. People who will ask his opinion every step of the way. People who will seek to be led by him, to be friends with him. And it's up to you. It's available to you. Get on your knees right now and say, Father Yah, I want to be your friend. Please help me. And then email me, please. So for those of you who've only recently joined, please stay on. I've got something I want to share with you. Those who've been with me for a while, I'm sure you're going to drop off now, so I'm going to say good night. For those of you who stayed behind, who am I? James Robertson. I have a doctorate in engineering and I'm a retired military commander. I now work as a management consultant. I have over 32 years of experience of actively seeking to draw close to the Almighty, following a dramatic encounter with him on the 12th of March 1993, when he spoke to me audibly in a locked room and I knew for certain that he was real. In learning about Father, I applied my deep-seated aversion to failure born out of an accident in early childhood, coupled to my engineering and military training of rigor and preventing failure, to my seeking of knowledge about Father. This journey led to numerous supernatural experiences, prayers answered, and clear communication with the Creator. It forms the basis for what I teach in these programs. See the video, Why Seek Relationship, for an overview of what I believe. Please visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org. The ETI version of the Bible with corrections of translation errors is on the ETI Bible version page. For recordings of nearly all of the teachings broadcast so far, go to www.relationshipwithcreatorradio.com or search on Google for quote Relationship with Creator Radio unquote. There are about 4 podcast websites. Transcripts are on the Transcripts of Broadcasts page. Books with teachings from 1998 till May 2019 are at the Books for Printing page. I publish regular email articles. Email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org to be added to the list or to seek counsel or prayer to give me feedback. Visit the website and use the article keyword cloud, the table of contents, the article search, and the Google search to locate the information you're looking for. Folks, that's it. I'm out of time. I look forward to seeing you on the call next week. Thank you so much. Good night.
Father, I come to you, lifting up my hands. By your grace I stand, just because you love me. I know your favor.
Hi, I'm James Robertson. Has it ever occurred to you that we should have compassion for Yah for all the wrong turnings human beings have taken over the years? If not, then please listen to my broadcast on w4cy.com internet radio or talk4tv.com internet TV. Also visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org and www.relationshipwithcreatorradio.com for back issues of my broadcasts, or email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org to find out more. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much.